Media, back with another episode alongside with my co-host Jeremy Fishman. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, on all the podcast platforms, and we are joined by former Dallas Cowboy and Florida Gator Chaz Green. Man, offensive tackle. He played a few different teams in the NFL, but he started his career with the Dallas Cowboys, and he had a good career and even a good college career playing in Florida, one of the top college football teams in the nation, Florida Gators, over the past few years. And now he's coaching young kids in Dallas the right way, how to play the game of football. And what a great guy, great person. And looking forward to learning more about his journey, how he got into football. And Chaz, thank you for joining the show, joining us. And thank you for obviously reaching out back to me, my team, and seeing our stuff. I really appreciate it. And thank you again for joining.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me. Like I said earlier, man, you got some good stuff going on. Seem like a genuine dude, man. I'd love to sit down here and chop it up and share my story with you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Jeremy, want to start off?
Yeah, I just want to say again, we appreciate you coming on. Now, you grew up down here in South Florida, where I'm at, in Tampa. Talk about growing up playing football down here and kind of go through your recruiting process for college. I know you went to Florida, and to my knowledge, you turned down some other pretty good schools. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it was. I took a unique route. So I actually grew up. I was a basketball player. I played a lot of AAU basketball. I was on Nike Team Florida, 13 and under Tom Topping. Man, it was a travel Nike basketball team. So basketball was my initial passion. I was that kid growing up that everybody would always say, "Hey, man, you need to try football. You need to try football," because I played that physical brand of basketball. And once my sophomore year, I was 6'5", 250. I kind of stopped growing height-wise. I played in the post as well, so I decided to just give football a try. The rest was history. So I initially started out in my local high school, Palm Harbor University, and I was not to knock them. It was a great school, great academic school. Football program was up and coming. I didn't really get the attention that I needed to accelerate my game in a couple of years because I'm 16 at this time. Also, I had some close friends that I knew in Tampa. I had a kid named Christian Green that I was close with. I played basketball with him. He ended up going on and playing at Florida State. But long story short, man, I went and checked him out his freshman year. He was getting some big attention from big schools, and as soon as I went out there, man, the head coaches and everybody was like, "Who's that guy?" And they obviously told me they wanted me to come play out at Tampa Catholic. So my junior year, first year playing O-line, man, I was out there. I was rusty. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was just athletic and raw, and I played, I played a physical brand. I was always tough, and I always had that aggression. But I was real rusty, man. But I was fortunate enough to play under with Coach Bob Enriquez and David Lewis. Rest his soul, man. But I had some really, really great coaches out there that had great exposure and great connections, man. They really accelerated my game within a couple of years to I ended up becoming an All-American. I never forget my first college offer, D1 college offer. There was a big man camp at University of South Florida, and we're going through like the different drills and whatnot, and we finished up by having there was like a one-on-one competition with the O-line and the D-line, and if you know me, I'm a big-time sweater. I used to cramp up a lot, so
yeah.
I had a situation, man, where I was cramping up, laying down, and the head coach came over and was like, "Well, got good news for you. I'm gonna offer you a scholarship." So that was my first official, D1 scholarship that I had, and then from there, man, it was like a snowball effect.
Wow.
From Notre Dame to Ohio State, Florida. Florida came on real early, man, and I just developed a close-knit relationship with them to where I ended up, it turned into a routine where I'd have a game on Friday, and then I was on the recruiting list, so I'd drive up Saturday, go catch the Gator game, and that just kind of went on for a couple of years. But I definitely tested the waters, man. I tested the waters. I enjoyed the recruitment process. It was a whirlwind for sure. Wow. But it was a great ride, definitely.
That's awesome, man. What a great start there. And speaking of, so we had so many athletes on the show, and most of these athletes played multiple sports throughout their journey and before choosing one. And how important is it now for like the kids you coach now and other kids that are playing multiple sports? How important is it for them to play multiple sports and whatever they decide on and being able to be versatile? How that's really important now in this generation.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is this, especially in my community, man, everybody feels like they have to do one thing. And it's always good to just put yourself out there and develop as many skills as you can outside of, one sport. You can play other sports. Also, just learn skills, learn other skills outside of just playing sports as well, too. The space that we're in right now, you can gain knowledge in so many different areas with the internet and social media. So I just think that you're kind of selling yourself short, especially when you're really young, because at the end of the day, man, being a kid is all about, enjoying life, but also you do want to have a vision though, because I was definitely, once I decided to pick up football at 16, I was laser focused because I knew I didn't have a lot of time. And my goal was to make it to the NFL. It wasn't just to play in college. So you just have to know what it is your goals are, what you want to do. But early years, man, when you're really young, I think it's best to just do as much as you can. And just see where your heart takes you.
Yeah, tell our fans what position do you play in basketball and what were you like as a basketball player?
Man, I played in the post because I was stronger than everybody. But don't get it twisted, man. I had a little handle, I had a little jump shot. I like to think that I was like I don't know, man. I definitely played in the post. I played so Shaq was somebody I followed a lot.
Yeah.
Shaq was like somebody that I like to model my game after, but I wanted to also be able to handle the ball because I knew being 6'6", 6'5", my chances of making it, I'd have to be like a three, potentially like a physical style of a small forward. So, but I was a post player, man. Had a nice jump shot, a little mid-range shot, man. Decent little handle. Scrappy dude, man. Used to get rebounds, man. I was the enforcer, if you will. So, yeah.
You mentioned picking up other skills other than sports. During your career, did you have any hobbies or anything that you did in your free time that wasn't related to football?
Not really, man. That's why I'm so passionate about it because that's one thing that I wish that I poured more time into. Yeah, man. I really didn't have too many hobbies. I mean, growing up, we would fish sometimes. Me and my buddies, we would do stuff like that. But I kind of got away from it as my career. I moved into Florida and everything. But man, I was laser focused, man. It was football, and then hanging out with the fellas, man. I like listening to music. Just being around the crew. But yeah, man, I wish there was other hobbies that I picked up. For sure. So
Are you doing anything now that football's that part of your career is over?
yeah, I mean, so I have a lot of different things I'm doing. As I mentioned, I coach athletes. I'm developing an O-line program out here in person in Dallas. Developing kids, man. And, I've also been very intentional about my faith-focused journey. I joined a church out here, Nullman Ministries in Cedarwood, Texas. And I'm just real kind of like I have that mindset of trying to serve, and make sure that I'm, leading by example. I think, the world that we're in right now, man, I think there's not enough positive role models, not enough people that have a solid foundation. Everybody just goes with the flow. And I think it's great to make sure that I told my kids at my camp, it's cool to say you want to play in the NFL, but that's great. That's huge. You want to have big dreams, but just understand, all that matters is how you treat people. All that matters is the person that you are, how you serve others. And I think that that's one thing I'm very passionate that I'm trying to get across. And I'm actually in the works of trying to create my own social media presence. I do business with the American Chamber for Business. Real close with Herb Monsabias and Gloria Monsabias out here in Dallas, Texas. They just helped me throw a big golf outing the other day. That was a great turnout. We had about 40 people out, some former Cowboys, a lot of businesses out to support. Yeah, man, there's been a lot of great things going on. I got some things cooking up. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, man, I definitely have been putting myself out there. I'd love to get into motivational speaking down the road, but little by little, I got to just build myself up and get there. So
Yeah, you're doing it. You're killing it right now with the coaching kids and being part of like you said, like churches and all. And helping out the community, and that's big time right there. And yeah, so talk about your Florida Gators career, and what was it like playing for a top school? And you in 2011, you made the SEC All Freshman team also. And what was it like? What was the atmosphere like at Florida, and then the fan base? And talk about playing underneath Will Muschamp, the coach.
Yeah, it was wild, man. Florida, man, it was a wild ride, man. Ups and downs, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. But even back to the recruiting process, it was wild. We were getting recruited essentially when they were winning all those championships. Urban Meyer, I had a close relationship with him during the recruiting process. I actually played with him. My first year was his last year. Yeah, yeah, we didn't have the best year, 7-5, and then that's when he took a year, stepped down to look after his health. But then Muschamp came in. But man, it was an amazing experience. I think Florida, man, it's like from the fans to Ben Hill Griffin, the stadium. I mean, you can't match that. There's nothing like college football, and then there's nothing like the Swamp. And it was very satisfying, man, hearing some of my teammates that I played with in the NFL asking them like, what was it like playing in the Swamp? And they were like, man, you guys as fans are crazy. You guys are nuts. They're like right there, right on top of us. So I was like, yeah, I couldn't imagine being an away team, but man, it was great, man. I was fortunate enough to play early. I redshirted my first year. Then my second year, I was able to start pretty much at every game except for a few of them, I think. So I think Frank Verducci was my O-line coach. That's when we had Charlie Weiss as the OC. And man, our defense was part of the reason why I had my success, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some battles in practice, man. It was tough. That was the hardest thing to do, was go to practice. Against Dominic Easley, Shreve Floyd. I mean, you got Dante Fowler, Matt Elam. You got so many guys, Yeah, Keanu Neal. I mean, I can see Jelani Jenkins. I mean, there were so many guys. John Bostic. I mean, all these guys went on and had great careers in the league, and we had to deal with that every day at practice. So I think it just developed us. And yeah, man, it was a fun ride, man. It really was. It was a fun ride. Played for a lot of coaches, handled some adversity. I think I ended up having like 3 or 4 offensive line coaches throughout my coaching career there, and 2 or 3 OCs. But the silver lining is that it helped me understand football, and I was able to learn a bunch of different systems, from spread to pro style to quarterback being in the gun to under center. I learned a lot of different techniques, and I think it just kind of like fast tracked a lot of the skills that I needed to play in the league and be able to go to different teams and pick up on things really quick. So,
and the cool part about that is some of the players you just mentioned that you played with Florida, a couple of them played with the Dallas Cowboys throughout their careers too. So it was kind of fun.
Man. No, there's a lot of similarities. The recruiting process going into the NFL too. Like I always say, there's a lot of similarities behind what University of Florida, how they brand themselves and how they represent themselves, and how the Cowboys do as well. Yeah. So there's no surprise that I was fortunate enough to be drafted by them back in 2015. There's playing for the Cowboys is much different than playing for any other team. That's just a brand. You have to carry yourself a certain way. So I think that there's a lot of similarities in how it is at Florida as well too. So.
I've been dying to get over to Gainesville for a game over there since I came down here. Hopefully next year I'll make the trip over there.
Yeah, man, you got to check it out. Me too, man. I need to get back out there. It's been a while for me. I need to get back out there as well, man. They got all kind of new stuff, Jordan Brand, indoor facility. So I need to give me some of that as well. So.
But I want to ask you about a moment in your career with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I've played sports my entire life up until coming to college, and I've had games where I've struggled, have games where I've done great. One game in particular for you, you allowed 6 sacks, the Atlanta Falcons. How do you get over a moment like that? You're back in the locker room. You probably felt like you let your team down. How does your team support you, and how do you get through that and get ready for the next week?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You obviously, when it happens, it's tough. I'm somebody who I look at myself like a leader. I definitely want to be somebody who can be the reason why things go well, and I take things very hard sometimes, especially when I feel like I'm not successful in life and on the field. But it's just a reminder that you have to understand that, one, that life is bigger than football. And you have to understand that I had great support system. I made sure that I took it on the chin. I took accountability in front of the media, so that way nobody else had to answer for it. Because at the end of the day, you can make any excuses all you want, but it doesn't matter. There's different things that go on behind the scenes, but it doesn't matter. It's all about what happens. Were you successful or were you not successful? That's just how I was raised. So one of those things you just learn from. You keep moving forward. But it was definitely tough though. It was tough for sure. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it wasn't. But I learned from it, and I took some things that I could apply to my life and just moving forward. So.
And then, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, take us back to your draft experience. You got drafted in 2015, round 3, pick 91. What was it call like with the Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones and the coach Jason Garrett? And take us to that moment.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. So this was day 2 of the draft. My agent was telling me that essentially telling me that I was going to go in the bottom, I think the 5th round, I believe. And when I was projected to go in the 5th round, my agent was telling me in the 3rd round the only team that was interested was Pittsburgh, and they had already made their pick. So I didn't expect myself to continue to. I didn't think I was going to get picked up. I'm not going to lie. So I'm just kind of winding down. We're kind of wrapping up the day, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call in the Dallas area code, and it's Jerry Jones. And man, it was a crazy experience. Crazy experience. I just loved the look on my mom's face and just the support. Everybody knowing how much work that I put in, and playing for an organization like the Cowboys. I mean, it's second to none. I even like looking back now, it's just surreal. Like my phone shut off for 2 days straight. All my social medias, my people blowing me up. I literally couldn't even pick my phone up. It was just nonstop notification after notification. So it was it was a crazy experience. It was a crazy experience.
Wow.
I feel like in sports today, there's 2 big conversations that happen at the start and throughout each season, and that's how bad officiating is and how bad the new rule changes are. In the NFL, we're seeing both of those right now. The whole new kicking changes, seeing a lot of stuff about safety, and then you also have the referees who you could say what you want about them, but there's no doubt there's been a lot of calls, especially on the primetime games. I want your thoughts on that, and do you have any general solutions to the fans' outrage over either issue?
Well, I mean, the refs, you can't do nothing about it, so you can complain all you want, but nothing's going to change. But I get it, it's being on the other side of it, and being a player, it can be frustrating at times. But yeah, man, it's one of those things you got to play through it. You gotta learn and understand that that's part of the game. Is you have to know that nobody's perfect, and neither are the refs. So they're going to make some bad calls. They may make some questionable calls that make you feel like, what are they doing out there? But that's just part of the game. So that's why you got to learn to just play through it, learn to block out that, and don't use it as a distraction. Use it as motivation in a way to, overcome that. The rule changes, man. It's tricky, because I'm all for player safety. I definitely am. I know football's a brutal game. I've had my share of injuries, but at the same time, I feel like football is one of those games where it should choose you. You don't choose it. So I think that it's not for everybody. Even though everybody can play, there's a position everybody could play, but you have to actively want to play football. And I don't want the essence of what football is to be taken away. So, it's a slippery slope. It did get a little unique, later in my career. We go into training camp and have these meetings with the refs, and they sit down and they kind of lay out the new rule change, and it feel like we're learning a new game almost, specifically on the specifically in special teams. That was where a lot of the changes were made. But I do remember in 2016, 2017, they took away the crackback blocks, O-linemen, and the blindside blocks in space. You couldn't really cut block like that anymore in between the line of scrimmage. So yeah, it was tricky, man. But like I said, I'm all for public safety. At the same time, football's a brutal game, man, and that's one of let's not take away the essence of it at the same time too. So.
So the Dallas Cowboys over the years are known for their offensive linemen and offensive line, and they really built up the offensive line for the past couple of years. And while you were there too, you played with great offensive line like Tyron Smith, Collins, Leo Collins, Travis Frederick, Doug Free. I can go on. That was a great offensive line. And we actually we had a good defense that year too, and we actually Tyron Crawford was on the show also. So
Nice.
shout out your teammate Tyron Crawford, he was on here. So I let him know that you came on today. But so talk about like what was it like being part of that offensive line group? The names I just mentioned because they were great too.
Yeah, it was special, man. It was special. A lot of those guys, especially Ty, I watched him when I was younger. So, getting to play next to him and develop a personal relationship with him, man, that was an amazing experience. He's a solid dude, man, down to earth, hardworking dude, and he's a freak of nature, freak of nature, man. But yeah, I mean, all those guys. I mean, Travis, Zach Martin, man. Zach Martin's a beast too. It was really great to play next to those guys because the standard that was set as far as offensive line play was very high. The bar was very high. Not to say that I didn't play with other great athletes on other teams, but I was able to, take that experience and kind of apply it when I went other places. The standard that was set, the bar of excellence. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was special, man, being next to some of those names.
And what was it like blocking for Dak Prescott?
Yeah, it was not. Man. It was a great experience, man. I got him. So I remember when him and Zeke first got drafted, and the whole Tony Romo when he got hurt, and that kind of got thrusted into the quarterback position. Man, that picked up on things really quick, man. He really embraced that role at a young age. True professional. I don't like when people try to slander his name. I don't really like that, man, because I feel like he does everything the right way. You know, obviously, all the success on the field is not up to him, and all the failures are not up to him either. But that's just part of the position. Yeah, man, he's a true professional. I like the way he carried himself. He come to work, and he was just really hungry at a young age to constantly learn and grow. And then, Zeke, on the other hand, man, he was. I think 2016, that was the year, man. He went off that year, man. He was a dog, man. He was a workhorse, man. We used to run the ball a lot, and he made a name for himself, man. He's a special running back, man. It was definitely great to play and block for a guy like that, man. It made our job a whole lot easier. He's one of those running backs where he really understands O-line play. That's one thing that I picked up from Zeke. Is his mental aspect. He understands what we were trying to get done. He would sit in the rooms when we have Wednesday run meetings. He'd sit with the O-lineman and we say, okay, if we get this front or this look, this is how we're blocking it. And he would say, okay, this is where the cut's going to be on this play. And not a lot of teams and a lot of running backs were like that. And that just shows why we were so successful that year. So,
can you go through your pregame routine? You wake up on Sunday morning. Tell us about through your day.
Yeah, playing in Dallas, we played a lot of prime time, so it was at night. I wake up early, get a nice breakfast, nice solid breakfast in, and then yeah, man. First I wake up and pray. That's always huge. Pray, meditate. Visualize. Success out there on the field. That's very huge. The night prior as well. That's very, very important. You have to visualize. Success and anything in life starts up top with your mindset. I get a good meal in. I usually get a good meal in. Then we'd have a few hours. I'd probably, get a nice nap or something like that and get any body work done that I need, any kind of last minute treatment or, stretch, whatever that is, trigger point, whatever that is. And then around, I think a few hours before the game, I get a nice meal to go. I didn't like eating too heavy before the game, so I get whether it's a PB&J or just I like to eat a lot of snacks leading up to the game, just to keep the carbs up and not something that would make me feel too heavy. I'd like to front load all my carbs in the morning the night prior. But I'd arrive I'd arrive 3 hours before the game. 3 hours before the game. Usually at that time I'm listening to some kind of smooth jazz or something to kind of keep me calm or mellow. Nothing too turned up yet. I don't want to overstimulate. Arrive to the stadium. Man, I get in there. I usually, get taped up. Do a stretch routine, some kind of in the locker room, warm up, band work, different things of that sort. About 2 hours before the game, I go out on the field. usually walk a lap, no matter what stadium we're in. I always walk a lap, get a feel for the stadium, make sure I touch every corner of the stadium. Then I go through like a couple run steps, whether it's like tight zone, wide zone, gap scheme. I take a couple pass sets, right and left, making sure that I'm prepared for every movement that I could potentially make out there. And then, I go back in, and then I would just kind of like, that's when I would start, listening to like the rap and all that stuff and get myself going, leading up to the game and get ready for us to kind of do our full team pregame routine. But that's typically how it would go for me. So.
So tell our fans about Coach Garrett. What was it like playing for Jason Garrett? And before every press conference or post game, he goes, "How we doing, guys?" and starts clapping. And he was known for that. But talk about what was it like playing underneath him? And he was a good coach for the Cowboys over the years. And then before Mike McCarthy took over. But talk about his mentality going into each game and as a coach.
Yeah, no, Garrett was awesome, man. He had a good spirit about himself. He was always enthusiastic. No matter what our record showed, man, he always came with the great spirit, the right mentality. He made sure that he didn't let anything get to him. But man, it was great playing with him. Man. He was very psychological. He'd always put these different signs up and these different like shirts we wear that say like "We Do" or "Focus" or different things of that sort. And he'd always just make sure that he was an extension of. He would always make sure that his job was to set the mindset and the culture and the mentality of what we needed to have, moving forward as far as from a philosophical standpoint. But man, I enjoyed playing with him, man. He was a great coach. I had a great relationship with him, and I wish him all the best whatever he's doing now. I think he's into broadcasting and reporting or something.
He's currently on NBC for Sunday Night Football. He does NBC with Devin McCourty, Maria Taylor, Chris Sims, and Tony Dungy and then Ronnie Harrison.
Okay, yeah. I wish him all the best, man. I wish him all the best. So.
In the NFL, and I think it's partly due to very small and short season, but you get a lot of rivalries with the divisions. You have the NFC East, AFC North, two divisions that you played in. Talk about what it's like going up against one of those rivalries. And as a player, are you just looking at it as another game, or is there a little bit extra to it?
I mean, there definitely was some games where, definitely meant a lot more. What comes to mind is against the Eagles for sure. That was one of those games you had to kind of roll your sleeves up a little bit more. Eagles fans are wild, man. And then the players too, man. It's one of those games where it's going to be a lot more physical. Like I said, man, you gotta buckle up. In the trenches especially. It's going to be a 4-quarter game. It's going to be one of those games where no matter how the game is going, you're gonna feel it the next day on Monday. So I would say, that's what comes to mind. Obviously, I had some battles against the Giants as well. But the Eagles, that's one of those games, man. Cowboys Eagles, I would say for sure.
Hey, but this year the Commanders are taken by storm, though.
Man.
Oh my God, did you see that last week's play with the Hail Mary?
I didn't get a chance to see the play. I didn't actually, man. But I'm not surprised in their success, man. With Dan Q D Quinn out there, man. He he was the defensive coordinator when I was at Florida, so I'm not surprised one bit, man. He's like ultimate players coach, one of those coaches where you want to run through a brick wall for. So I'm not surprised at all to see the success that he's having out there as well. But Cowboys got their work cut out for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. Yeah, it's they're definitely making some noise.
Aiden Daniels is a real deal. He's a real deal.
Yeah, he is, man. He comes to work. He goes about it the right way, man. Showing up early, just always finding ways to make plays when nothing's there. I mean, he's definitely going to be somebody to watch moving forward.
Were there any players that, when you lined up against them, you knew that they just couldn't beat you and you had that extra mental advantage over them?
I mean, you have to, first off, you have to respect every opponent. You have to have that mentality because these guys are good. It's the NFL. Nobody's just not good, So you have to have respect for every opponent, but at the same time, you have to go out there and believe that you're the best tackle on the planet. That's one thing I used to always tell myself. And it's you have to have I was telling the kids out there the other week, man, you have to have huge self-belief, and that comes with practice and preparation. You can't be cocky. You got to be confident because you put the work in, but you have to go out there every week and think that nobody's better than you. You have to think that, not from a standpoint of that you lose respect, but that comes from film work, preparation, studying players' moves, knowing, what they're good at, what they're not good at, their first move, their second moves, how they like to set up their counters, how they play the run, how they play third down, just different tendencies. You kind of build that confidence throughout the week, but you have to believe in yourself that nobody's better than you. So that's just a week in, week out thing, because if you don't, you're already like 10 steps behind. If you go out there like giving another player too much respect or anything of that sort, or you're a little starstruck. And that's one thing that actually helped me a little bit, because I started football so late that I didn't grow up watching a lot of the guys. So it's funny because a lot of the guys I played with with the Cowboys, those were the guys I was watching, like the Jason Wittens, the Tony Romos, guys of those sorts. Those are the names that I remember seeing. So they were on my team, so it was good that I didn't have to, line up against certain guys like that. But don't get me wrong now, there's some great players, but it starts with yourself, man. It starts with you just believing that with every opponent you go against, that nobody can mess with you out there. So
Yeah, I'm just curious. Tell her, do you ever consider? Are you going into broadcasting also after your career, or?
right now that's not in the plan, but I don't like to block any blessings that come my way. So never say never. We'll see, man, where things take me. I did go to school. I had a telecom communications was my major, so it's right on par for how I was the things that I was taught at UF. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And we had this we had this one player on our show. He currently plays for the Browns, and I'm sure you know him, Dawad Jones, offensive tackle on the Cleveland Browns. He was on the show. He had a similar story as you, playing basketball before playing and then playing football also. And I don't know if you saw him play yet, but talk if you did see him play. Talk about what do you like about him from the Cleveland Browns, Dawad Jones. He currently plays for the Browns.
I haven't seen him play, to be honest. Yeah, I'm about to check him out, man.
He's like he's a beast. Yeah,
the one. Okay, the one. Yeah, I'm gonna check him out, man. I know the name for sure. Like I said, I've had a lot go on, man. I've been so busy. But I'm definitely gonna make a point to check him out, though. DeJuan Jones, yeah, because I know the name, obviously. I heard great things, so I got to check him out and do my due diligence before I just make a comment without really knowing and studying him a little bit. But I'm gonna make sure I check him out. He's somebody I'm gonna keep an eye on for sure.
Since it's Halloween today, if you were to dress up at all this year, if you're going out anywhere, what would you be going as?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't know, man. Probably the Hulk. If it was up to me, like just something funny, maybe the Hulk. Or man, growing up, people used to think I looked like the Game a lot, especially when I had like a little low cut and everything. But maybe one of those two, yeah, like the Game or the Hulk or something like that. I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't really do Halloween stuff too much, man. But it's definitely fun to see everybody getting the characters and all of that.
Who's So tell our fans who's your who do you like to watch currently? Who's your favorite offensive lineman to watch currently in the league?
My favorite, man, I'm always a big fan of Trent, man. Trent Williams, he's still rocking strong, man. He's getting up there in age. Tyron. I like watching all the guys that I play with, but outside of the guys I play with, man, Trent, man, Teron Armstead, I actually played with him for a short stint in New Orleans. It's fun watching him as well. He makes it look easy out there, like just effortless. But Trent's one of those guys I love watching for sure. When he's on, I always, make sure I lock in on him. So, yeah.
Growing up, who is one person who you would dedicate your inspiration to? Who really pushed you to get over the edge and accomplish, get into the NFL?
Man, I got to give everything to my pops, man. He, rest in peace, man. I lost him in 21, but yeah, man, he was somebody that it started with basketball. He was a big basketball fan, but man, he used to push me so hard, man, and he was one of those fathers where behind closed doors, I never did good enough because he was always focusing on ways to, take me to that next level, whether it was taking me to the track, making me run miles outside of practice, making me do full court suicides till I'm like throwing up and cramping up, man. Just all these things that I didn't understand, him holding me to a very high standard as far as how I carry myself, um, how I act, how I treat people, how I talk, it never made sense until I became and got to where I was, And yeah, man, I just give him all the credit, man. He for constantly just pushing me and us, getting into a lot of battles out there. We'd always get into some kind of like altercation or something, a workout or something, or him just, I feel like he's doing too much, but it's all out of love. And as you mature, you realize that's because you need people like that. You need people in your life that's going to tell you the truth, what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's kind of how my dad was. So yeah, man, I give him all the respect, man, for that. So
Yeah, sorry for your loss, man. That's tough.
yeah.
Yeah, so talk about this current Dallas Cowboys team, and obviously they're sitting at 3-4, and not looking too good. But talk about what needs to be changed, and from the to turn around their season, and they can still make the playoffs. They're still in the playoff race, but they need to change some things here. But talk about the current Dallas Cowboys team, and what do you think needs to change there?
Yeah, man. I think they need to just commit to the run game a lot more. I think that it starts with leadership in the locker room. One thing in Dallas is very tough to. It's a lot tougher to win in Dallas than it is anywhere else because there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of eyes, a lot of opinions, and I think that from the outside looking in, it seems like there's a lot of leaks, a lot of cracks that they're allowing outside noise to seep in, and it doesn't seem like they have strong leadership from the locker room. And I'm talking like the players, not just the coach. I'm talking like the players, and making sure that they take ownership of the team. It just seems like there's a lot of people on different agendas, and everybody's not on the same page. Whether that's the defense, and the offense having their own set, and they come together collectively and making sure that they can all be on the same page. So I just think it starts with all the leaders in the locker room taking ownership, and also just making sure that everybody's held accountable, in everything that they do. That's the main thing. I'm not here to say they need to do certain things better than others, but I just think from a philosophical standpoint, that's one thing I noticed. It seems like the leadership is kind of took a step back a little bit. It seems like it's not as close knit as it needs to be. That's just what I observed from some of the teams when I was out there. It seemed like we were closer. We enjoyed playing with each other a lot more. So that's something I think that they could do. Whether it's doing stuff outside of the facility together, stuff like that as well. That helps too. But yeah, man, they just gotta just stay the course. Stay the course, man. Take it one game at a time. Don't listen to all of us out here making our comments, man. Just make sure that they just keep their head down and stay focused, man, and just really laser focused each week, and just focus on areas that they can improve. And I think they'll be all right, man.
Mhm.
What is one thing about you that people don't often know? Not that you're hiding it or anything, but one thing that, you'd like people to know, it's just not a common fact about you.
One thing people don't know. Let's see. Because when you get to know me, man, I'm a funny guy, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I think I'm one of those people. I'm like an onion, man. I got layers. So when you kind of don't know me personally, I'm kind of reserved. But once you kind of get drawn closer in, man, I'm real emotional, man. Like both sides. I'm funny, but I'm also somebody who wears my emotion on my sleeve, man. And yeah, man, I like to have a good time. Love hanging out, man. Love cracking jokes, man. So I think that's something that people probably might not know. But yeah.
I don't know if you've been watching the NBA season, but who's your favorite NBA team if you have to pick?
Man, it's hard to pick teams now, man. Players move around so much. So I'm just gonna focus on. But I mean, it's cool seeing what I know. A lot of people got their opinions on it, but it's cool seeing what LeBron and his son are doing, man. So I've been keeping a close watch on that every week. That's pretty cool. Who else? I I'm glad that Lonzo Ball's back out there playing, man. That's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Lonzo, man. I like how he plays the game the right way, even though he just got hurt. I heard last night.
Yeah,
One of the other nights. Yeah, so man, hopefully he gets back out there pretty soon. Yeah, man, those I'd say who else? Let me see. Who else do I like watching? Anthony Edwards, man. I like watching him, man. He's a dog, man. I like how he plays too. He's fun to watch, man, for sure. And then obviously the Mavs, man. You know, they got a nice little squad out here, man. Last year was unfortunate, but I need to go check them out too, man. See them in live in action, man. I'm a big Kyrie fan, and Luka obviously doing his thing. So yeah, Klay Thompson, man. Yeah, I want to go check them out too.
Yeah. So one final thing before we let you go, and tell our fans, and what advice would you give to the youth? And I mean, you're coaching the young players now, but what advice would you give to the youth that is trying to go and get to their goal, playing sports or any other profession they're trying to do?
My main goal and advice that I would say is always know first of all, have a clear, defined goal. Like, what is it that you want? Do you want to play in the NFL? How long do you want to play? You know, whether it's making it there, do you want to have a long career? Do you want to play in college? Whatever that is. Because a lot of kids, somebody says, oh, you want to play in the NFL? And they're like, yeah. And you know what? The next question I ask them is why? And that's going to be the biggest motivator is why do you want to do that? Because if your why is big enough, your how doesn't matter because you're going to go through ups and downs in life.